This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on this hump day? You're watching the Joe Gaither Show right here on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. You're checking us out on the Bama Central YouTube channel or on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither6. Hanging out with our friends, Mason Woods, inside the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios. Having a lot of fun on your Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central wherever you get your podcasts. It's going to be a lot of fun on this Wednesday. We're going to talk a little bit of off-the-wall topics here and there, obviously keeping it in the Alabama realm, Alabama sphere. We're going to talk about the college football playoff. We're going to talk about the player that jumped in the transfer portal, the Alabama football player that jumped in the transfer portal yesterday. We will talk about Alabama basketball, their big game tonight against Illinois, the CM Newton Classic. Will you be there? Let us know in the comments at Joe Gaither6 on whatever social media machine you're watching us on. And we'll also, if we have time, talk about a little bit of mock draft, looking at this Alabama football team. How have these last 3 or 4 weeks affected the way that these NFL teams? I mean, we went into the season, Mason Woods, thinking there's only one first-round draft pick on the team in Tyler Booker, and now I think that you need to reevaluate some of your expectations, because some of these guys have been shooting up draft boards. So we'll save that for the end. Mason, good morning. How we doing, man?
Doing good. You know, had a pretty slow day yesterday. You know, we did the show, got back, and then not a whole lot happened on the recruiting front yesterday. Had a pretty slow day, honestly, all things considered. Then we get to the afternoon, you know, Keanu Coat news hits, and we I guess it begins. It is now that time of year. We have entered the point of the season where we start hearing about transfers and things, maybe, and we'll see what happens moving forward.
Well, that's exactly right. That's where we were last year, right after the Iron Bowl. Right after the Iron Bowl, heading into the SEC championship game is where you got your first round of opt-out / transfer portal decisions. Now, Keanu Coat is the second. I think is how we're going to pronounce his name the rest of the show. Keanu Coot is the second defensive player to go into the portal this year. You remember Jaheim Otis goes into the portal in early October. And so you've got two guys who've gone into the portal, and I'll just throw it to you. What's your instant reaction? Keanu Coot, he's been suspended the last 2 games against LSU and Mercer, and now on the Tuesday after the Mercer game says, I'm going to the portal. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think, considering the suspension and how it was a bit of something nobody was really privy to as to what was going on. I don't think, me, you, anybody else in the media really has a lot of insight as to what's happening there or what has been the cause of the suspension. I think because of that, maybe we can not, we don't know for sure, but maybe we can, assume a little bit that maybe it's an off-field issue. And, it finds us here. It is what it is. That's kind of my reaction. I think if it is an off-field issue, I'm okay losing that player. It's one of those things, if this is an issue where the player has gotten into trouble or something like that, it's okay. I'm not going to be too upset about losing players like that. I wish Keanu Coot the best. I hope he finds success wherever he does transfer to, and I hope that if this is an off-field issue, he can get that resolved. And moving on to the future, he's a perfectly talented football player. But I'm okay with it. It is what it is. I think Alabama's doing okay at the linebacker position. They got plenty of talent, especially this season. I think even moving into next year, they have a few guys who can step into that role, and I think they'll be okay. Jaheim Otis still hurts me some. But that's just because personally I love that guy as a player.
Big old dude. He got hurt.
Yes, he's just
never really found that.
Yeah.
He got hurt and never really found that production that he had real early on in his career.
And I hate that for him. I think he is someone who probably, he'll probably find success wherever he can go if he can, get into a position.
He's going to be a prime candidate to go back to go to Ole Miss. To go be Lane Kiper.
Yep. Go. Yeah, he might just do that. That would be
Pete Golding and Ole Miss. That's a prime spot back home.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to see that, but that might be what just happens. And I think Jaheim Otis is a very talented player. That one still hurts me a little bit.
Yeah. So Keanu Coot goes into the transfer portal, and I second everything that Mason said. You don't know what no one really knows what the suspension was for. There's several rumors out there, and you can go digging for them online if you'd like to, but
Yeah, you'll
we're
find
not going to
them.
substantiate them here because that's what they are, is rumors. But just sounds like maybe there wasn't some alignment. There was some alignment issues philosophically
I
or
think
just
so.
kind of with values on and off the within the program. And because of that, you just move on and you wish each other. These things are going to happen, are definitely going to happen in a first year situation.
Absolutely.
And look, you look at the Wolf Room, it's no different than what it was against Mercer. It's exactly what it was for the last quarter against LSU. You lost Q Robinson. So you've got Clay Russaw, you've got Yanzi Pierre, and I missed one guy yesterday. You got Q Robinson and Yanzi Pierre, but you got two true freshmen. You got Jay Sean Ross, who came in originally with the 2025 with the recruiting class or 24 class. But you also have Noah Carter, the kid who was committed to Washington, then got let out of his letter of intent, and then it came to Alabama with Coach DeBoer and the coaching staff. So you got four real Wolves, two of them true freshmen. So I think if you are Kane Womack, you're hoping that you don't have to play those two young men. I mean, at least at this point, you can play them because you're not going to burn their red shirts. I don't know what they've done on the participation chart. Let's see if I can find that. Roll Tide participation chart. Yeah, that's what.
I mean, at this point in the season, if you can get them on the field, might as well. Especially considering, and I don't want to take anything away from
Well, you don't want to burn a red shirt.
Yeah, that's fine. If you have the opportunity to play them without burning the red shirt,
Jay Sean's played in one game, so he can play in both of the last games if you need him. Carter.
I think
Carter's played in 2 games, so he can also play in both the last 2 games if you need him, and you can salvage that. You can save that red shirt for both those guys.
Given what we have seen out of Auburn and Oklahoma this year, there may be some opportunities for those players to get on the field in those games.
Looking forward to getting into Oklahoma. Just looking forward to getting out there, seeing a new venue. Malachi Moore saying that he was really looking forward to seeing a new SEC stadium. He said the only place that he hasn't been was South Carolina. He's been here since 2020.
I think he's probably happy. I think he'd be happy to not have been there. That is something I haven't even really thought about. I guess that is a whole new experience for a lot of these players getting to see. I mean, Norman, Oklahoma, that is a historic landmark in college football. Oklahoma, the Sooners, they are a pillar of college football. I think if you ask just about anybody. So, yeah, that's really cool. Experience for the players to get to go there. I think, we'll get into this later in the week maybe, but I think they might have a good time in Norman. We'll say that.
Yeah, I was watching a little Jackson Arnold. I watched a little bit of Oklahoma, Missouri yesterday. Not the whole game yet. I think that Jackson Arnold, just my initial impression is that he's really talented. He does have a lot of talent, but he's wild as all get out. My friend, our friend Wimp Sanderson. He would say, he's wild as a dirt road lizard. That's what he'd say. and he is. He's wilder than Garrett Nussmeier. He's wilder than Nussmeier, and I think there's going to be some opportunities there. But but the other, I didn't realize this, but as I'm watching the Missouri game, Mason, it's on SEC Network, so it's Tom Hart, it's Jordan Rogers, and Cole Hewlett. Great crew, really. And Tom Hart goes, this is the 9th combination, the 9th starting offensive line combination this season for Oklahoma. In 10 games, you started 9 different offensive line combinations. Can you imagine what the Alabama faithful would be doing if you had started 9 different they'd be like, okay, they're okay with popping Gino in there just because to give Jaden the day off. And you're okay with the early season right tackle battle between Elijah and Wilkin Formby as that gets worked out. But everything else, as you go into the season, is pretty much like, this is it. We're saying
that is just that never has been, never will be a recipe for success is switching around the offensive line that much. That is a unit that needs,
and I'm sure a lot of it's injury.
Yes, absolutely. But that is a unit that needs consistency, that needs to be able to play with each other, drive in, drive out. And if they don't have the opportunities, they're going to have a very hard time, especially against Alabama's defense, who does such a good job of switching up switching the looks around up front, switching around what they're bringing play to play. They might feast on Saturday.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to have a lot of opportunities to see these Wolves again. Quay Russaw and Yanzi Pierre. I thought that obviously Quay got himself, I think, the interception against Mercer, and had a really he's been great all year, especially when he's been healthy. I know he battled a mid-season kind of ankle deal, and I really liked Yanzi Pierre. Didn't really make a whole lot of plays this past Saturday, but I really like his physicality and what he brings as far as his frame. I think that the more reps that he gets playing,
absolutely,
he'll be impressive.
I mean, yeah, he didn't stand out necessarily, but he didn't have any bad plays. He didn't do anything that you look at and say, oh, he struggled. He played fine. He did, exactly what Alabama asked him to do in the time that he got on the field Saturday.
So that's it on the juicy news. Let's move into last night's college football playoff. Before we do that, we want to thank Derek Daniel and State Farm for sponsoring the program. You can call Derek and his team at 205-758-3391. You can call for all your home, life, auto insurance, renter's insurance. Do you need an umbrella policy to put them all together? You can call Derek. Red, Reese, and Victoria are working for him right upstairs. They'll be happy to talk to you about anything insurance related right here. Derek Daniel at State Farm. Call him again, 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Mason Woods, I had a really good evening last night. You said you had a slower day after the show. I was busy as all get out. We did the show. Great time. Thanks for everybody who watched and listened. We went to football and talked to the players. Great time. We bounced over to Alabama basketball. Great time talking to Nate Oates. Then I had a phone call with a mobile radio station where I might have dropped a 4-letter word on accident on the air. I'm so embarrassed.
They got the dump button,
Well, I think they saved it. I texted him afterwards.
I
said, I am so sorry. And he said, oh, no, you saved it. Because I said, oh, some wonky bleep stuff.
It happens, hey.
It's just like, so embarrassed. Then I went to church. We had a little church event where I was turning the lights and the sound on. I ate nice dinner. But during that portion, I was watching the college football playoff reveal. And during that reveal, man, what a night. Here we go. Let's see. 11. Okay, let's see. 14 BYU, 13 SMU, 12 Boise State, 11 Tennessee, 10 Georgia, 9 Ole Miss, 8 Miami, 7 Alabama, 6 Notre Dame, 5 Indiana, Penn State 4, Texas 3, Ohio State 2, and the undefeated Ducks fly together. Oregon Ducks, number 1.
Oregon's a wagon.
A bit,
Oregon's
but I also
wagon.
think that if you Google their strength of schedule, it's not that good. Good job you did beat Ohio State, and you absolutely get credit for that. But
I was gonna say, in a year where the undefeated record has escaped most teams, props to Oregon for being 11-0 right now.
What jumps off the page initially for edition number 3 of this college football playoff poll?
Initially, I mean, and this is something we complained about, I think, with the last ones, but it's just, again, I don't understand why we have Penn State where they are. Why we have Indiana's 10-0, they're at 5. Indiana has not played anybody. Sure, I'm all for but if we're going to be in this mindset of, okay, Indiana has not proven anything, they have not played it, I don't understand why they're number 5. There are teams that we know are better than Indiana that have proven it, that have done it on the field. Mississippi, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, all of those teams have good wins, better than any win Indiana has. And it's just very strange to me. It still does not make much sense to me. I get it. They're undefeated. You have to throw them up there, sure. But yes.
Prove it. Here's my fear, Mason. Do this while I rant real quick. I want you to Google Alabama's future non-conference opponents over the next 5 to 7 years. I think there's an easy way to find a list. of the next decade's worth of opponents. You're going to Southern Cal. You're going to Notre Dame. You're going to Ohio State. You're going to Florida State. You're going to West Virginia. What else am I missing?
We got at Florida State in
State,
2025, at West Virginia 26, at Ohio State the next year, at Oklahoma State, at Notre Dame, at Georgia Tech, at Boston College, at Minnesota, at Arizona, at Virginia Tech.
I mean, that is a college football fan's dreams of list of. If you are an Alabama football fan, or if you are working in the media, like some of us are, you're seeing these trips and you're thinking, bucket list, bucket list, bucket list, bucket list. Yes, I'd like to see that. Yes, I'd like to go there. Yes,
I'd
like
to
go
there. Blacksburg in 2034.
100%. And so my fear right here, and yes, this is rooted in selfishness as a college football fan, but also as somebody who sees these trips. Are you familiar with what Indiana did this offseason? Indiana had Louisville on their schedule. And granted, the Big Ten, you give them props. They play 9 conference games. The SEC, you big old babies, you only play 8, right? Okay. So you only have 3 opportunities for out-of-conference games if you play in the Big Ten, or if you play in the ACC, or if you play in the Big 12. I think the Big 12 also plays 9. I think they also play 9.
SEC got to come around.
Yeah, you got to jump it up there. But all the bottom end of the league, Mason Woods doesn't want to play 9 because we got to keep our 4 out-of-conference games so we can schedule schedule ourselves 3 or 4 wins so that we can get to a bowl and we can go to our athletic director and say, we were a bowl team. We went to the Birmingham Bowl. We went to the Independence Bowl in Louisiana, in Shreveport, Louisiana. So what my fear is, what Indiana did is they said, we don't want to play you Louisville. We're going to buy you out. All right, they buy you out, and we're moving in Western Illinois into that game. As long as you've known me, Mason, I've always ranted against the upper game against the FCS, the FBS against the FCS. Look, if you're going to play a Mountain West school, if you're going to play some team that's from the Conference USA, okay. If you're going to play somebody from the MAC, whatever. If you're going to play somebody from the Western, from the WAC, whatever.
At least do that.
Okay, sure. But the FCS stuff has to stop.
Yes.
I know. We're supporting other programs. I get
No,
that.
you're not. That is your thinly veiled. That is your
message that they're sending to all of college football right now. And I get that Alabama has 2 losses, and I get that Georgia has 2 losses, and Ole Miss has 2 losses, and so that does make it hard to put it over the 0, right? But you can apply this argument. I mean, at least Penn State went to West Virginia this year. Yeah, they went to West Virginia right off the bat. They tried to get themselves a game. Texas, you can bag on their schedule, but they had at Michigan on their schedule. You're going to say, the defending national champions in their backyard. I mean, come on, it kind of stinks that Michigan turned out to be not good, but that's a great schedule point on your schedule, right? As well as the SEC schedule behind it for Texas. I know that Texas has played 6 of the bottom 7 or 6 of the bottom 8 or something like that in the SEC. It's ridiculous, but still, you are challenging yourself in that fashion.
I think that is where we can compare Texas and Indiana a lot. Is they have both played, for the most part, the bottom of their conferences, but Texas went out of their way to get an out-of-conference game that should have looked good
at Michigan. That is a blue program.
Some people are going to say, Indiana played. They had to play Michigan. It's in their conference.
Right.
They had to play them. Look at who they didn't have to play and who they picked in those games. Look at what Texas. Look at who they didn't have to play and who they picked in that game. They picked Michigan. They picked the team that won the national title last year.
And people are going to say, they picked that game 7-8 years ago. It doesn't matter.
Michigan was still a premier brand.
Michigan's usually good. Michigan is usually a big boy brand.
I think that right there is that's your black mark on Indiana.
Right. And you could say, nothing. You had Louisville on your schedule, and is Louisville a superpower?
No, but that would have been a great win.
Exactly. It would be, you beat one of the better teams in the ACC,
I
right?
wouldn't be complaining about them being ranked number 5 right now.
You beat Louisville would have probably been 18, 15, 24, 12, somewhere in that range. It would have been in that area. And you win that game, and you get, maybe they can beat Ohio State. Now, granted, they can beat Ohio State this week. They're going to run into Ohio State. Just had some bad circumstances. Lost their second offensive lineman for the year, Seth McLaughlin. My heart goes out to you. This is not a Seth McLaughlin hate show. This is a Seth McLaughlin support show.
Thank you for what you did for us.
Yes, 100%. And he tore his Achilles in practice yesterday. So Ohio State is now down. It's starting center and starting left tackle.
brutal.
Lost the left tackle in October, so they've been dealing with that. But Indiana, they can win. My big fear is if they get the 1 seed, I mean, you'll have beaten Ohio State and Oregon. And great, you'll have deserved it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get the 5, 6, something like that, last night, they're sitting here number 5 in the playoff poll, number 7 in the seeding, but because of the way the seeding works. That's a home playoff game. If they end up at that 7 mark at 10 and 11-1, losing to Ohio State, winning their other games, and if they win this game against hypothetically Ole Miss, you're going to see. I am fearful. I believe that you will see college football. You'll see Greg Byrne. You'll see Kellen DeBoer getting together. And look, they're not fearful men. I don't think that they're fearful men, but I think that they are smart men. And I think they're said, the college football playoff committee doesn't seem to value challenging yourself.
Yep.
Do you want to get rid of some of these games for more Mercers, for more Jacksonville States, for more Kent State? Some just not good teams. UTCs, UT Martins, like.
This is potentially setting a very, very bad precedent for college football moving forward.
Yeah, it costs us a lot of money to travel those games, Coach DeBoer. Don't you want to spend that money? Wouldn't you rather spend that money on buying it, on bringing in UT Martin?
Yeah,
and getting yourself an easy win, and you can just focus on the SEC schedule because that's apparently all that really matters. Apparently,
yeah. It's just I don't know. It seems like the playoff committee is looking at this very short-sighted and not really considering the long-term effects of what this seeding, what this ranking, and what it means for college football as a whole. Because like you just said, that is absolutely a real thing that's my fear. Likely will happen. These ADs and these coaches, they're not idiots.
Georgia and UCLA already bought themselves out 2 years down the line. Now they're saying it's for, we want another home game and this and that. But like Georgia replaced that game with Marshall. Do you want more Georgia Marshalls or do you want more?
It's bad for fans. It's bad for entertainment on TV. It's bad for the only people it's good for.
That would have been a great uniform game. That Georgia red with the silver breeches going up against the baby blue and the gold helmets.
That would have been nice. I will never get it. And we might never get anything else similar to it if this keeps going the way it's going.
Right. Didn't you have fun traveling up to Wisconsin?
I think the only thing that I think can save us at this point is if, Indiana loses and they do get bumped out of the playoff.
I don't think
that has to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it is either.
I think that if they play
snowball effect 10 years
from now
range,
I think if they play within a 10-point range of Ohio State and then they win their last game, that they're going to be in the playoff.
No,
now they may lose their hosting spot, and that might be because they're right on that bubble, right? Oh well, they're at 7 here. But my prediction is that Ohio State beats Indiana, then goes to the Big Ten championship game.
Think they'll lose to Oregon again?
No, I think they probably win. And so Ohio State gets that bit, and then Oregon gets the 5. And I think Indiana, because they played close with Ohio State, probably still sits there at 7, 8, 9. I
think about Penn State too, hanging around.
Right. Really, the interesting thing is a lot of people are crying about Alabama jumping Miami after playing Mercer, but it's like we're just getting closer and closer and closer to the final result. And it's not about beating Mercer. It's about the total body of work at this point.
Yeah, you look at what Miami has done. We've been through their schedule. They haven't really had many impressive victories. And the wins that they do have, many of them solely relied on Cam Ward to bail them out of a lot of situations. So I've not been overly impressed with Miami as a team. I'm very impressed with Cam Ward. I think he's a great quarterback. I think Xavier Restrepo, great receiver. They've got some good talent in places. But yeah, overall, they've relied way too much on Cam Ward to just bail them out for me to buy them as a legitimate contender.
I think that as you have Miami in the current seeding right here, 3 seed, Georgia, Penn State. If you're Georgia, oh, you love that. I get to go up to Happy Valley. And basically, Penn State plays my brand of football. I just play it better. So
Penn State wishes that they were Georgia.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, they are very similar styles, very similar structures. But Georgia
makes it look good.
Just 5 degrees better, just 10 degrees better. And then you get to play. I know, Cam, you struggle with mobile quarterbacks this year. I think that's a spot you're really loving.
Pretty favorable matchup.
Going to play because I'm pretty sure that is that quarterfinal game is the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. I'm pretty positive. So if you're Georgia, you're like, oh, sweet. Welcome to Atlanta where the players play. And then let's look at Ohio State. Right here in this current spot, you're Ohio State. You've got BYU coming to town. And then your next game is, we get to take on you guys, Boise State. Now, Boise State, no slouch. But
no, Boise State, I think, could give Ohio State at least a game. I don't believe that BYU would give them a game.
I think those are the two pods that you're wanting to be in, that 12-5 and 11-6.
I mean, just this path.
Because you don't want to be running into Oregon or the SEC champion.
I don't like this. We're looking at the projected bracket here. We talk about Alabama as a 7. They're ranked 7th, but they're projected as the 9 seed. At least that's what I'm looking at here with ESPN. And I don't want to have to play Oregon in the second round. I would much rather be in a different spot for Alabama.
Well, if you win the SEC
you can get
title,
yourself bumped up some, or you can,
you win that SEC title. You're in that next bracket, and you're not seeing Oregon until the very, very end, as it rightfully should be. Now, on this track, as we're talking about these first round games, Josh Pate, late kick Josh from CBS Sports Network, I believe, is what he's on. He works on YouTube. You see him, late kick Josh. You subscribe to his show. Put out hypothetical lines from FanDuel, partnered with FanDuel for this first round. BYU at Ohio State. Mason Woods, $100. Ohio State minus 21. What are you playing?
Can I put $1,000 on Ohio State minus 21?
Okay. Again, $100. Georgia at Penn State. Georgia minus 1.5.
I would like to bet my life on the Georgia Bulldogs in that game.
Okay, another $100. Ole Miss at Indiana. The Rebels, a 1.5 point favorite.
I'll go ahead and lock in some generational wealth for my family for generations to come on that game.
And finally, your Alabama Crimson Tide at Notre Dame.
That one will make enough money to solve world hunger.
Alabama, 1.5 point favorite.
Yeah, we'll lock it in. We'll solve world hunger with the winnings off of that game.
Are you kidding me with these lines?
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Okay, first off, you play the balance here. Am I just being stupidly SEC biased?
No.
These seem like stinking to high heaven.
These
seem like easy money.
Yes, I don't.
Now, Ohio State, that's a little much on the points.
Ohio State, obviously, I'm exaggerating a little bit there with Ohio State. 21 points, a lot of points to win
in a playoff game. But you're at home. And if they get that snowball rolling at home.
Yeah, you got Quinshon Judkins back there. You got blanking on the other running back's name right now, but two very talented running backs for Ohio State who will just bowl over anybody.
TreVeyon Henderson.
Yes, TreVeyon Henderson. These lines are ridiculous. And I don't want to sit here and, bang the drum of like, the SEC, we're the bastion of college football. We're tougher than everybody else. But I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, if any people that have watched Georgia, that has watched Penn State, you know exactly what's going to happen on that football field if those two teams play. Georgia just chokes the life out of Penn State, doesn't let them do anything, and it's just a beat down from start to finish.
24-10, 27-10. It's going to be.
It is a decisive win for Georgia. That does not look decisive on the scoreboard, but if you watched it, you saw Penn State had no life to them. That's how that game goes.
It was Michigan that Georgia beat the brakes off of it in a semifinal a couple years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it would look like that. But I mean, the whiteout would play a little
34-11 that game.
Yeah, 34. It would look a lot like that, 34-11, where you think, oh well, they didn't score 1,000 points on them, but it was just like
you go look at the rushing numbers. Georgia had 345 rushing yards to Penn State's 84.
Just pin you down and we're just gonna stay right here to the clock.
Keep your foot on your neck.
The clock's
And
on
keep it
his
there.
zero in a little bit. Just wait right here. He'll be all right.
That's exactly how that game goes. 10 times out of 10. I'm not even gonna listen to any arguments for Penn State to maybe win that game. They do not win that game. It doesn't matter how many times you play it. Penn State's not beating Georgia.
Now, I think there's a lot of worlds where Ole Miss falls flat on their face.
Yes,
on
I
the
do
road.
think that is a possibility. Ole Miss, of these three, is the team you have to worry about the most because
Indiana have been playing machine-like football.
yeah, they are very just fundamental. They're very sound. They play very clean football. They don't do a lot of things bad. They don't make a lot of mistakes. And yeah, that could give Ole Miss some trouble, especially.
You just Jackson Dart fumble, a turnover.
With the way that they play, with the way that Jackson Dart plays, especially, they could get into some trouble there. But I would still hammer.
You
the
get a Lane
Rebels
Kiffin,
here.
I'm going for it on 4th and 2, and Kirk Cignetti says we're stopping you right here on the 43-yard line, and now the game is flipped. Like
that could happen.
I don't know about that one.
I would still hammer the Rebels.
Alabama at Notre Dame.
Are we even having a real conversation here?
Hail to old Notre Dame.
I like you, Marcus Freeman. I think you're a good. I think you're a fine coach. I appreciate what you're doing there. I think it's a cool story. You get to take over. You can come in. This is where the storybook ends. This is where Notre Dame learns. Okay, we're not what we thought we were. We're not on that level of college football. We're strongly in that B tier. You've got your S tier teams, your Alabamas, your Georgias, your Ohio States, I don't even know who else you want to throw in. Really, it's just those three. And you got your A tier. Those are your other teams that we're looking at here. We got your Texases, I think, your Penn States, your Miamis, and then you got that firm B tier. And I think that's where we find this team. That's where we find Notre Dame. You lost to NIU. You get the big win over Texas A&M week 1. Was that a neutral site game?
No, they were at.
So that's a good win. That's a good win. I'll give you that one. But Notre Dame, I have not seen anything that leads me to really have any sort of I've not been impressed by anything I've seen out of Notre Dame, other than maybe that one week 1 performance where you go back and watch it. I mean, they just turned around and handed the ball off to Jeremiah Love 60 times, and he ran the ball for 200 yards. So, you
can do that against Alabama.
I don't think you can do that against Alabama.
We've seen it.
Dylan
Sampson, baby. Dylan Sampson cracked that Alabama defense like an egg.
Yeah, that was also 4 weeks ago.
Diego Pavia and his
team's
buddies
playing a little different.
Diego Pavia and his buddies said we're gonna keep hammering.
I don't think you do that to Alabama. I don't think Notre Dame has a chance at winning that game. I think that's an ugly blowout. I think that's an ugly one. That's like a 42-7. I think that's an ugly one.
I just love their. I would please schedule that game. I know. When did you say the out of conference trip is? Is it 27?
29.
29. Okay, so I pray that I'm still alive in 2029 to go to that trip. But if
see touchdown Jesus.
Yes, but if you were to give me that trip in December, oh yes, I'll put on my coat and jacket.
Yeah, I think Alabama handles business in South Bend if they get there.
Isn't the record really not good against Notre Dame?
When was the last time they played there?
Oh well, probably in the 40s.
Yeah, I think the last few times they've matched up with the Fighting Irish, it's been pretty.
Right. But overall, it's been not so hot. Let's see, Alabama, Notre Dame, Winsipedia. That's my favorite website.
Oh yeah, I always forget about Win. That's the best site.
Full games list. Alabama. Okay, Notre Dame is 5-3 over Alabama, but you've got Alabama in 21 and 13 and 1986 as victories.
So they've won the last 3 games against them. Notre Dame won the first 5.
Notre Dame won in 73 in the Sugar Bowl, in 75 in the Orange Bowl. They won in 76 in South Bend. They won in 80 in Birmingham. Alabama won in 86 in Birmingham. Notre Dame won in 87 in South Bend. And then Alabama beat their brains in the BCS championship game in 2013 and in the Rose Bowl / Capital One Bowl in 2021.
Yeah, I think the tide rolls in this one. I would
that'd be your first victory in South Bend ever.
We've talked about this.
That'd be a pretty dramatic first victory in that spot.
This is not a gambling show. We are not giving you advice for gambling, but if you want to maybe make a little money, that might be a good place to do it.
All right, so we'll see how it keeps shaking out. Alabama has to keep taking care of business to get there, though. If you lose to Oklahoma or if you lose to Auburn, you can sayonara, kiss your college football playoff hopes
100%.
goodbye.
As you should. I mean, you don't deserve to go at that point.
Right. So got to take care of business, and we'll see how it all shakes out. Another 3 weeks worth of madness to go. I think that, we can react to the seedings right now.
Doesn't really
matter.
Gonna change. Yeah. None of this all at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter until those final rankings come out.
Let me tell you about my friends, Purple Turtle Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. Purple Turtle Roofing is the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of their qualified employees will come check out your roof for free and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. You can check them out online today at roofturtle.com. We appreciate Dustin and his team taking care of us, and they can take care of you. Call Dustin Foley and his team at 877-787-6635. All right, Mason, what else is on my list today? We've done Keanu Coote. We've done college football playoff poll. Josh Payton, his lines. Alabama basketball looking to bounce back tonight. We asked Nate Oates about Aiden Sherrill, and he basically came right out with it and said, I messed up.
Yeah.
I had my hand raised, and everybody did, obviously. And as it got around, I think I was the next person up, but Tony Sakalis from Tide Illustrated asked him about Aiden Sherrill and his usage, and he said, yeah, I messed up. I should have thrown him back out there in the second half, given him a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
I think that if he thought that he could help us defensively, I told him after the game, if you think you can help us, come tell me. Come let me know. Now, I should have also considered him, but I don't know. He said he's basically – sounds like Coach might have just got lost in the game flow.
I think that's what happened, and I'm not super happy about that. I agree. That does not really. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence.
I agree because you combine that with his post-game comment. Oh, I didn't realize they went on a 13-0 run.
Yeah, was he just in over his head in Mackey Arena last Friday? What happened, Coach? I'm glad that he was very quick to, I guess, take accountability for it.
We're knocking rust off. We're getting,
But like, hey man, we talked about it after, when we reacted to the game. This was your chance to kind of prove yourself on this national stage, and like, were you just not ready for it? What happened? I don't love that. I'm not. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence about this team. That answer, I think. We talked about this, but had we seen Aiden Sherrill a little more in the second half, or at all in the second half, maybe he could have made a difference. He did get in and had the 2 fouls quick, so it looked like he was maybe potentially he was in over his head a little bit, but I don't know. Yeah, that's weird. And also the to tell like your freshman, hey, just come tell me. He's not going to do that.
Right. It's his third college game.
He is not going to walk up to the coach and be like, hey, let me get in there, coach.
It's his third college game, and he sat out a lot of the preseason due to injury.
Yeah, he's not going to do that. You're going to have to initiate that. You got to get him on the floor. Yeah, that doesn't make me. I mean, I'm not going to say like I'm upset, but I'm not super happy about that. That's not a great look. We'll say that.
I think the whole team might have just got not a wake up call, and Coach did say that yesterday. He said it wasn't a wake up call, but I think it was a good kind of a gut check, kind of a reality check.
I hope so.
Hey, we got to get in gear.
This is a good Illinois team.
Yeah, it is a good Illinois team. Number 25 in the country, 3-0 on the season. Alabama's an 8.5-point favorite tonight.
I think they're beating teams by an average of 30.
Eastern Illinois, SIUE. What is that? Southeastern SIU Eagles. Southeastern Illinois Eagles, Southern Illinois Eagles, Southern Illinois University Eagles, maybe. And then they played, I just lost it, one more, Oakland. They beat Oakland by 12. They beat the SIU Eagles by, 2 and 32. And then they beat Eastern Illinois, 43 and 12, 55-55. So they smacked these. This is their first game against a Power 5 opponent.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, step up for Illinois, step up for not necessarily a step up for Alabama, but continuing to take these steps for Alabama as they already played Purdue. So, maybe Alabama can catch Illinois in a little bit of a situation like they caught themselves against Purdue, where Illinois is almost a deer in headlights a little bit, playing their first Power 5 game of the year. I don't think that's something you should rely on. I'd like to see Alabama just go back to the drawing board a bit and figure some things out that maybe weren't working last Friday night. But I feel good that this team can have a bounce back performance in this game. I don't think that Friday's loss was anything that's gonna, kill the confidence of the team or anything like that. I still think the guys are locked in. I think Nate Oates has to lock in a little bit from the coaching end, and I think everybody just has to kind of play together a little better.
Yeah, I mean, look,
it's early season.
Things take time. Is what I think it's going to boil down to, and I think that the Purdue game showed a lot of tape and maybe reinforced what you saw against McNeese and said, hey guys, this is serious. I think that they will play better tonight. You got to this guy Will Riley for Illinois, 17 points per game, 6 rebounds, 69% from the 3-point line on the season. Gonna be a load right there. But they've got Tomislav Ivicic. Is that Zvonimir Ivicic's brother? It might be a big old tall guy. So they're going to be another size team. Coach Oates talked about 2 of their guards being projected in the top 20 of the NBA.
They're a very big team.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. And look, I think there are still tickets available for the game tonight. Get out to the BJCC and see Alabama take it. It's 8:00. That's the only problem. Just a little late, for my opinion.
It's tough. Especially for it to be not in Tuscaloosa, for it to be away from Tuscaloosa, where like a lot of fans that maybe want to go are going to have to travel about an hour to get to it already.
Well, hopefully there are a lot of fans in Birmingham that say, hey,
sure
it's 10 minutes down the road.
Absolutely.
It's 5 minutes down the road.
But I hate it for the Tuscaloosa fans, potentially.
All right, so it's going to be on SEC Network. One interesting thing, you tell me, Mason Woods, is this truth or is this hooey? Coach Nate Oates talking yesterday, saying that he's heard already from NBA scouts after 3 games about LeBaron Philon. Is it truth or hooey?
I mean, has he heard that from some people who are in and around NBA circles? Sure. Is he talking to the premier NBA scouts for some of the best teams in the league and they're saying, we want LeBaron Philon in this year's draft? Probably not. Yeah, absolutely. He will be. Yeah, he's going to be in those conversations. But I think this was maybe an example of maybe Nate reached out to some people he knows just to get some opinions, and they said, "Yeah, we like what he's done so far this year." That's about it. I doubt that he is meteorically rising up draft boards like it was maybe sold as, but potentially he has been very good. And I think
best player on the team
by the end of the season, absolutely he will be
best player on the team. He's been that good. I mean, I know Mark's still there and had good games, but I think
top to bottom,
3 collective games, he's been the best player on the team.
There's probably some truth to it.
One and done LeBaron Philon, one and done Darian Reed.
I would love that, but I would also hate that because man, I would like just have him back.
One and done Aiden Sherrill if he can ever get on the floor. Okay. How many minutes does Aiden Sherrill play tonight? Over under 7 and over under 7.
I think he gets more than 7. I think he comes out and he plays well, and they let him get some runs in.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 minutes each half.
Yeah, I could see it.
Oh, yeah, like 2.5 minutes stints in each half, right?
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's
just get him comfortable because he's still, we talked about it when he got into the Purdue game. He still looked a little uncomfortable. He's still trying to find, I think, his.
You're gonna need him tonight with these big boys.
Yeah, I mean, you can't throw
Grant in there and just say, "Hey, man, sorry."
Like rolling through the starters. I mean, it's 6'2", 6'6", 6'7", 6'9", 7'1" for Illinois, or at least the expected starters.
You can't just. I mean, Grant has gotten stronger for sure.
Grant's not going to be able to do it himself. And, we already know Cliff is on limited time because of, trying to just keep him fresh. So, yeah, I think you're going to have to maybe see Aiden Sherrill a little more involved this evening.
All right, does Jaron Stevenson make himself a 3-pointer tonight?
Oh man, does he take a 3-pointer
Oh,
tonight?
yes, he takes a 3-pointer.
I hope he makes one. I'll say that. I hope that he makes one, but
Is he
I will
over
say
on the season?
I
Hold
don't
on.
believe that he's made one this season.
Let me see. Jaron, yeah, he's over on the season.
He has been really struggling behind the arc. I would like to see, because I think he is a player. I think he is a player who can work the ball inside and create opportunities for himself in and around the rim. So I'd like to maybe see him try to do that a little more.
0 for 10 on the year.
Yeah, seems like maybe he's a little too quick to throw those threes up sometimes.
How do you like the excuse that Oates gave yesterday for the 0 for 10? He said, "Oh, he's a really good shooter. He's been getting a lot of bad passes. I've been yelling at our guards.
Maybe.
I've been
I don't
yelling at
know.
our guards to give him better passes.
I have
Pass
not-
it to him in the pocket."
I haven't looked at it close enough to like analyze it that closely, and I'm not someone who knows basketball to that level, so
Now, I'll agree a little bit, but I also think a little bit that's coverage.
that's
for
kind
the
of
guy.
what I think. He's maybe just covering for his guy a little bit. I think Nate Oates, and me and you know this too, he is a talented shooter. He can shoot the ball well. He has shown us that, and I'm sure that he shoots the ball great in practice. It's just unfortunate when he gets out there in the game, maybe he doesn't quite hit his opportunities. And
Tonight he's going to go 4 or 5.
I hope so. I really hope that for him.
Boom. Right down. Chris Stewart's going to be able to yell, "Boom!"
I hope so. I would love to see him get going. But hey, if you put 2 or 3 up and they don't fall, maybe let's try to work the ball inside a little bit, Jaron, because I think you can do that too.
One more note on Illinois. Where are you at in the Kenny Pomeroy rankings? Alabama 11 in Kenny Pom, and Illinois 26 in Ken Pom. Now Purdue.
Purdue did lose.
Purdue
also
lost. Yeah. What are you doing, Purdue? You're gonna beat us, which okay, congratulations, you win, and then you're just going
Lay an
to
egg.
lay an egg. They lost to Marquette, who's 13 in Ken Pom. Purdue now down to 23 after their loss to Marquette.
I think the Tide bounces back. What was the spread? 8.5.
8.5.
I don't know if they cover that.
Alabama, after these 4 games, now has the 3rd best offensive rating and the 48th defensive rating.
Okay.
Let's see where we at. Illinois is at the 35th offensive rating and the 24th defensive rating.
I'd like to see that 48 bump up a bit. If they could get into maybe in the top 30 in each of those categories, I'd feel a little better. But top 50 ain't too bad. But we need they got to lock in tonight. I think they have to prove to not only the fans, not only the rest of America, the rest of college basketball, but prove to themselves that they are the team we all thought they were. They can play to the level that we know that they can play to.
Yeah, it's really important, I think, especially considering the next 5 games that you have ahead of you. You got 5 more games that are going to be challenging. You just got punched in the mouth in game number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to respond in game number 2? If you respond and play well, then okay, the 5 after that, I mean, you're rolling the dice and you're feeling good about it. And like, okay, you're just going to live and die with the results. You lose game number 2 and then you lose, maybe you get frustrated the same sort of way. Let's say they slow you down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they are making shots just over Cliff Morey's hands. Like you lose some offensive rebounds, this, that, and the other. Like you get beat up in the post. You're, I think, going to be really worried about the 5 games after that.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got Kalkbrenner, the big guy from Creighton, coming to Tuscaloosa. I think that it's really important to respond tonight to give you enough confidence to go forward in these next 5 games.
Yeah, I think so too. Excuse me. This game specifically for confidence, not only just for the team, but for Nate Oates, for everyone in and around the program. I think it's just going to be, it could potentially be like a very galvanizing moment kind of for the rest of the season going forward, is like locking in, okay, like, we got punched in the mouth, we bounced back and we're fine. Let's figure it out.
It's no big deal, the loss to Purdue.
Yeah.
If you respond pretty well tonight.
They can turn that into one of these moments.
Yeah, certainly. All right, so we're at 49 minutes. We will save the mock draft discussion for another day. Mel Kiper Jr. putting out mock draft information. Just a quick synopsis: Jalen Milroe is getting a lot of love. The third best quarterback. Tyler Booker and Jaden Roberts both up there. You got no Malachi Moore, which is unfortunate to see. But you got a lot of guys in there. Jihad Campbell, the second best off-ball linebacker on
Robbie
the
Oots
list.
makes an appearance
Robbie
on the list.
Oots as well, criminally underrated.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that another day. We appreciate Mason Woods hanging out with us in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. Follow Mason at MAWoods_. You can follow me at Joe Gaither 6 on whatever social media machine that you like. Call Derek and his team at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs: home, life, auto insurance, renters insurance, boaters insurance, RV insurance, whatever you need. Derek Daniel and State Farm, 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Tomorrow on the show, we will dive deep into Oklahoma. We will respond to the Alabama-Illinois game. Mason Woods will come ready with his 3 players to watch. And we will get you ready for a big old football weekend as Alabama travels out to.
We're going 3 for 3 this week.
Yeah, you've been on a hot streak.
We're doing it.
So be thinking about it over the next 24 hours, and we'll hear from Mason tomorrow. The 3 players to watch right here on the Joe Gaither Show, right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.